was a drop in FPS. It went from 250 to 6. Anyways, Steven here with an extremely epic part of the display tutorial. I think we're on part 7 now. Of course, every time I upload, I always forget to change the number. So, like, the last 3 have been part 5, but then I changed it. Anyway, let's take a look at what I've done since we've been gone. And I will be flying for that. I apologize. Oh, it was already turned on. Alright. So, as you can see, we're no longer working with the back of the display. I moved all the decoders to the front, and that's because at the end of the last video, I noticed how awesome and elegant it was to have it all compacted together at the front. So I took it one step further. I put all the decoders in a row. So all the inputs are together, and these are 3-block wide full adders that I'll show you in a minute. So all the inputs are in the front here. We went from a 4-bit system, now this is a 16-bit system. Then let's go check out so we have binary going into this monstrosity right here, and then I'm going to turn down the render distance because it's going really slow. Then here is our 7-segment display out. Right now you can see they're all set to 0 because the middle one is off. And these would go, I'm going to set this in the ground eventually, and they're just going to travel upwards to connect to the back of this. But remember, it's not one-to-one necessary, or it's one-to-one, but it's not like, you can't just draw a direct line to it. You kind of have to like weave and zigzag in between to get to the correct one. But that is way less complicated than rewiring your adders. So sorry if you already did that, but trust me, it's not worth it. Just build it this way. You can see that all the adders go straight into the next one, all 16 of them. And then our final carryout comes from here. Yeah, that's the final carryout, I think. Yes. No, wait. Where does the carryout come from? Is it down there? Could be. You know, I don't actually remember. Let me go back to the beginning and... Oh, come on. This lag is just disgusting. Okay. Yeah, I think I forgot to do the carryout, but whatever. We will do it later. Let's actually give it a quick test and we'll find out pretty quickly if that's the carryout or not. So we got 8 plus 4. And that does not activate the carryout. So the carryout is this guy right here, I guess. So the question is, how do we connect these? I wish I remembered. Let's check it out over here. Should still have it built. Oh, I do. It is that down there. What the heck? Did I do this correctly? Plus 4. That block on all these other ones is turned off, but here it's turned on. So there's got to be a way to connect these. I feel like the carry in was this, right here. But it's not. Okay, hang on. I'm gonna figure this out. Okay, sorry guys, I'm stupid. I was adding 8 and 4, but there's no carry out from this one if you don't have something else going into it. So if I add 8 and 8, I get a carry out right here. So our total answer is 16, judging by this light. That probably doesn't make a whole lot of sense to you. So we'll not dwell on it for too long. So what I want to show you is, first of all, this adder. And I'm going to give you a link to it. I'm not going to show you how to build it because it's really hard and I'm tired of staring at it. But you could use any adders for these. I just like these because you notice it leads to a straight line directly into this guy. It's perfect. I got it from the Minecraft forums. One of my friends over there made it. I can't remember who it was, sorry. And so the whole system just compacts really nicely. And I could actually scoot all these up, which I might do later. You can bring these guys up to here, right here. So that'll save some space. Saving space is good. So let's look at what I'm doing next. Next, I'm going to hook up Subtraction to this guy. And I showed you how to do that in one of my other videos, but I want to show you since you're building along with me right now. So let's assume you already have all your adders done, which if you follow the other videos, you should. So we're going to hook a Subtraction unit up to all these. So to do that, we're going to use a system of binary numbers called 2's complement, which basically just says this. If you want to subtract 2 numbers, a minus b, equals question mark, you take a and you add it to negative b, right? That's obvious. But to get negative b in binary, you just invert b, and then you add 1. So it's not b, which is denoted by that apostrophe right there, plus 1, okay? So to do that, what you could do is take your b and run it through an inverter, okay? And I still have my set speed on and my fly. So you would have either your normal b or your not b according to what you're doing. So it would look something like this. But the question is, how do you decide which one of these to use? Okay, and to do that, you have to have a selection line going into it that tells you which one to use. And so this is what we call a multiplexer. This takes one signal, or sorry, no, this is a decoder, isn't it? Yeah. But no, I'm wrong again. Sorry. So multiplexer basically takes a bunch of inputs and it decides between which one. So we would have our multiplexer, which I'll just symbolize with this box with 2 things going into it. And then you feed this guy some kind of selection signal to tell it which one, either B or not B. And interestingly enough, you can actually use an XNOR gate to do that if you're only selecting between 2 things, which is called a 2-to-1 multiplexer. You take 2 inputs and make 1 decision out of them. And so an XNOR gate just happens to do that if you are using 1 input. And it just so happens that I have a very, very narrow and compact XNOR gate, which I would like to use. Which is this guy. But I'm not sure if it's going to line up such that it doesn't interfere with the others. And I think it will, actually. That's kind of a problem for us. So I'm going to go find a 1-wide XNOR gate. 1 second. Okay, guys, sorry about that. I found our 1-wide XOR, which is pretty cool. So we're going to be using this guy. I'm going to pan around it really quickly so you can see it, so I don't quite have to go through how to build it with you. So just pay attention here. I'll go really slow, and you can pause your video in order to build it. What the heck? Oh yeah, I'm on the cinematic panning. So this is what it looks like from the top. Don't forget the torches underneath here, and this is what it looks like on the bottom. So yeah, go ahead and pause right here if you want to see how to build it. But that's enough of that. So basically, let me show you how this guy works. The inputs are where this torch is, so let's use a lever, and this one down here. So up here is going to be our B line. So this is any input coming from your controller, okay? And then down here is our selection line. Now, if our selection line, this is our output, by the way, over here. So if the selection line is off, it looks like that means we get the inversion of B. And it looks like if we so selection equals, we're doing addition. So if we flick B on, the torch is on. If we flick B off, then the torch is off. Okay, so right now, this means we're doing addition because our output is the same as B. However, if we want to do subtraction, then we want the inverse of B, which is what is happening right now. B is off, output's off. So we're missing one part for our subtraction, which was you invert B and then you add 1 in order to get the answer. So at the very, very beginning, I've always told you this is what you use this input for subtraction, and that is exactly what we're going to be doing. So if we have, if we're doing subtraction, we're going to actually hook up our selection line to this guy right here, and if this is, but we're going to take the inverse of it, of the selection line. So if the selection line is off, meaning this will be on, then we have a 1 carry in, which is how we add 1 to our entire guy. Because carry in, remember, you add. So we have a carry in of 1 to not be, giving us subtraction. If you want to figure out exactly how this works, read the Wikipedia article on 2's complement, and I'll show you how that's spelled. It's either 2's or 2's, oops, not toes, 2's complement, with an E, not an I. So all we have to do is bring our XOR gate to all these things, and then we're going to run the selection line. So I'm actually going to use world edit to do that, if that's okay with you. It is okay with you? Great, thank you. I thought you'd be afraid that I was cheating, but I'm really glad that you don't think that. Whew, that's a relief. So we will, oh, come on, expand this up, and then we're going to copy it from, we want our inputs to be on the ground. So why don't we actually put the output up here, and then we'll run a line in like this. So let's recopy it. So we're going to do it standing on the output. Is that correct? Oh wait, no, that puts our input too low. Ooh, what are we going to do? Okay, hold on, let's rethink this. Okay, how about this? Is it still doing what we want it to do? Not B. B, yeah, okay. So now the output should be on the same line, but is it? Hold on a second, let me see. There we go. This is what we want. Okay. So our input and output on the same line. So let's do copy, oh wait, standing on the B line, like so. And then we'll go over here and paste it, and I'm going to stack it. Let's just see if it worked. I'm going to bring it out a little bit so that we don't have to worry about, yeah, look at that. So it's in the ground, but it's not a big deal. We'll run the selection line underneath all these dudes, but all of our inputs from our control panel will come in here, and then we can have our A lines coming from here. So these are the two numbers we're adding together. And we'll do a quick little test in a minute here. So we have to do a whole bunch of them, so I'm going to do, let's see, from here, let's try stack 15 me. That didn't work. Where'd they go? You see where they went, Scott? Oh, you know why it did it over there? We have to do it, we have to stack this guy. Whatever, we'll do it later. But, so let's go ahead and build our selector input and hook it up to the beginning so that we at least have our system complete. So I'm going to do this all underground to hide it nicely. And what we're going to do is have a line going across all this with repeaters in between so it doesn't run out of steam. And keep in mind you have to have this straight line going into the block or it won't work. So let's make a little staircase coming out that we can take over to our input line. And this lag is just brutal. Maybe a staircase this way. Yeah, perfect. So we'll run this beside our other dude here. And we need, remember I said we need to invert it, and that is because of the relationship between our selector that we designed and everything else here. So let's just have our selector input come up here, and we'll test that it's long enough. Looks like it is for both. So right now the selector is on, therefore, let me make sure this is reaching. Yes, it is. Okay, selector is on, so we're doing addition. So let's just put a little sign to remind ourselves, because that's going to be important. So on equals add, off equals subtract. Okay? So we can have a lever for this as well. Doesn't really matter. I'll just use a torch for now. Come on now. So all you would do to finish this off is you put one of these XNOR, sorry, this is XNOR gate, exclusive NOR, but in this case it's a 2-to-1 multiplexer, okay? And so you put one of these in front of each B line, and the B lines are these second ones. So see that torch right there? That's the second torch right here. So you put it every other one. You need 16 of them total. And then we're going to run these lines underneath each one, and after each one, or every time this runs out, you need to put a repeater. But it doesn't matter really how much delay it has, because there's going to be more delay getting through the adders and the decoder than it takes for this thing. So don't worry about it, not a big deal. Yeah, so I'm going to finish this up off camera, and I guess I'll show you in the next episode. So now, once you have this done, your system will be able to add and subtract. But if you want to do addition, what you do is, we'll just take a block like this, and you have a lever on it. If you're doing addition, you say on. If you're doing subtraction, so on is addition, and then off like this is subtraction. And you can see our carry in just changed to 1 when I switched it to subtraction. And it will be taking the inverse of our B. So B is off. Right now it's doing not B. So right now it's doing not B plus 1, which is the inverse of, or sorry, the 2's complement of B, which is the same as negative B. Okay? So don't forget this little relationship. It's pretty handy. I'm a big fan of it. It doesn't make any sense intuitively, but you can actually do the same thing in decimal and it'll work. So that's pretty cool. But the inverse in decimal is calculated slightly differently. So, and check me on that, because I've never tried it before, so my teacher could have been wrong. So definitely check that out. But yeah, thank you guys for watching. This was fun. I hope it wasn't too boring and too chaotic. I'll give you the world download so you can see what I did and all the schematics for all the parts. That's obviously important. But yeah, take care. Don't forget to sign up for the new server, which is really cool. You can play with me and all the other Minecraft celebrities that you know and love. And we hope to see you there. But until then, keep on engineering.